Hey guys, what's up? Back in another video, and today I got a DVD pay-per-view request from the one and only Beatdown Bunny. So here's my review of WWE SummerSlam from 2005. We have the immortal Hulk Hogan and the Hot Spray Kid himself, Shawn Michaels, on the cover, looking fantastic. So let's get this underway, shall we? Icon versus Icon. So we kick off SummerSlam 2005. with Chris Benoit taking on Orlando Jordan for the United States Championship. This is a rematch from the Great American Bash. You're going to hear me say that a lot during this video because there are a couple of Great American Bash rematches on this card with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero also, and of course Batista versus JBL later in the night. But this is the first of many. This is the first of three Great American Bash rematches. We have Chris Benoit taking on Orlando Jordan for the United States Championship. And me just saying that is probably longer than the actual match itself because the match went about 24 seconds. Chris Benoit immediately got him into the crossface after a couple of German suplexes and made Orlando Jordan tap out. Not really much to say about it. It was a simple opener, simple squash to get the belt on Benoit, which is probably the right result. I mean, Orlando Jordan was kind of failing as the United States champion, as a mid-card champion. I think he had a bad match with Benoit at the Great American Bash, which was very negatively received. So this was kind of the end of Orlando Jordan's big push as the United States champion, and he would not last much longer after this. Chris Benoit would win the United States title, and they would do like a couple of jokey comedy segments where Orlando Jordan would face Benoit in rematches, and Benoit would try to outdo his record here at SummerSlam. So, very quick matchup. Benoit wins about 24 seconds to win the championship. It was fine, but nothing really much to say about it. Next matchup, we have Edge taking on Matt Hardy. This is the personal feud. Edge had a relationship with Lita behind Matt Hardy's back in real life, so the real life animosity made its way on screen in this feud. I thought this match was pretty okay for the start. It went about 4 minutes, and it was going all right, and then all of a sudden, Matt Hardy just got, whacked against the steel post, and he got busted open, and basically the referee had to call the match off, because he couldn't defend himself, basically, and Edge won. Edge was declared the winner, so, it was an intentional, referee stoppage. It wasn't like, the match had to be stopped because of an inadvertent injury or something, an injury that wasn't meant to happen, but this was supposed to happen. But I thought it was kind of a crappy ending to this start of this blood feud, with the person who was the victim in all this, Matt Hardy, getting beaten. So kind of, I think it sent out the wrong message, kind of. You know what I mean? So Matt Hardy, your girlfriend cheated on you with this other guy over here, and then you went to whoop his ass, and he whooped your ass instead. So I understand it was leading to a match at Unforgiven, which is perfectly named, considering Matt Hardy and Edge at the time, with the real-life animosity. But yeah, I thought this match kind of sucked, really, to be quite honest, with Edge and Matt Hardy. The ending sucked anyway, with the person who was supposed to be getting the revenge ended up being left bloodied and unable to continue. Kind of sucked. Kind of made Matt Hardy look like a fucking idiot, to be quite honest. Anyway, next matchup. We had the custody of Dominic Mysterio ladder match. We had Eddie Guerrero taking on Rey Mysterio in a ladder match for the custody of Dominic. If they only knew what Dominic would turn into, I think none of them would have won this match, and they would have declared it a draw, and and Dominic would have been put up for, I don't know, adoption or in social services or whatever. Someone else would have had to put up with young Dominic Mysterio if he knew what he was going to turn out to be in the wrestling format. Anyway, this was a fun match. This was probably my match of the night. We had Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. These two have fought each other like thousands of times, and this was towards Eddie's pay-per-view series. He passes away like 3 months after this, 2 months after this. 3 months after this. It was November, wasn't it? Yeah, and this was August. So not long after this, he passes away. So this is kind of like one of his last big feuds against Rey Mysterio. So pretty cool stuff right here. And of course, Eddie was, I didn't know this until the commentary pointed out, but Eddie was actually 0-6 against Rey Mysterio in WWE. I think that was right. Don't quote me on that. That's what Michael Cole said. So Me quoting Michael Cole is sometimes a bad idea because the commentary always do sometimes get things wrong most of the fucking time. But I thought the match itself was pretty fantastic. It was, as I said, it was my match of the night. It had the most emotional story going into it, and you wanted to see Ray kick Eddie's ass and get the win to gain custody of Dominic. Even though, as I said at the start of this match, I don't know why he even bothered to, because if only Rey Mysterio knew what kind of son Dominic was going to turn out to be. So yeah, I like that. I think it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to look back on, looking at young Dominic Mysterio and how he turned out to be. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a pretty fun match, and I think Eddie and Ray really, as always, Ray and Eddie had great chemistry and had a great match. There was a couple of small problems with it though. There was a couple of botches. Very noticeably, you saw Eddie Guerrero get a little bit frustrated. I think Vicky was supposed to come out at one point. I mean, it wasn't on the DVD version, but it was on. I've seen it on YouTube and other places where you can hear Eddie Guerrero says, "Where the fuck was Vicky?" It's basically swearing at Vicky, basically because she missed a cue or something. So apart from Eddie's little tantrum in the match, which won't be the only tantrum on this night. Hello, Sean. How are you? But I thought the match was pretty solid. Anyway, next matchup. Rey Mysterio gained custody of his son. I don't know if I said that already. Next matchup, we had Kurt Angle taking on Eugene for Kurt Angle's gold medals. Of course, Eugene had possession of Kurt Angle's medals after winning them in the Kurt Angle Invitational on Raw. This was okay. It was exactly what it needed to be. Kurt Angle went in there and he kind of demolished poor Eugene. Eugene had a couple of hope spots, but for the most part, Kurt Angle just destroyed him and got his gold medals back. And all was right with the world because the fans were starting to turn on Eugene at this time. I think some of the male audience in the male audience in the actual audience was getting a little bit sick and tired of the Eugene character, and they were just wanting to see Kurt Angle beat the shit out of him, which says a lot, really, if you think about it when it comes to Eugene's character, with special needs and all that stuff. So it is what it is. I think they just wanted to cheer the cool guy. I think Kurt Angle came across as a very cool, kick-ass machine, and poor old Eugene was his guy who was in the way. So anyway, Kurt Angle gets the win. It was what it was, and let's move on to the next matchup, which is The Undertaker taking on Randy Orton in a WrestleMania rematch, WrestleMania 21 rematch. And of course, they had a classic at WrestleMania 21. I don't really feel like this was a classic. It felt like the first of many matches between the two. Of course, they would feud for the rest of 2005. Almost said 2025 there for a second. Yes, the rest of 2005, Randy Orton and Taker would feud until December, when they would have that Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. Almost said Armageddon Hell in a Cell match. Technically the same thing. Happened at Armageddon, and it was a Hell in a Cell match. But yeah, Randy Orton would pick up the win here to make to even the score, because Undertaker beat him at WrestleMania, so Randy Orton beats him here to even the odds in the feud. Thanks to a little bit of help with Cowboy Bob Orton, who was dressed up as a fan. Who distracted Undertaker and it was made to believe that a fan had jumped the rail and kind of like got a little bit too excited about Undertaker, and that's how they made it to believe. And then of course Orton catches him with the RKO and gets the win on Undertaker, and then Undertaker was furious afterwards when he found out it was Cowboy Bob. So that leads directly into the casket match at No Mercy with a 2-on-1 handicap match. But yeah, I thought the match was okay. Wasn't really, Undertaker, Randy Orton worked over the knee of Undertaker, and I thought the match was okay. And Randy Orton picks up the win, and we move on from there. Next matchup, we have the WWE Championship on the line. We have John Cena defending the WWE Championship against Chris Jericho. This one was a fantastic matchup. It started very slow. I was very worried at the start because I wasn't really into it at the start. But then it really picked up. I think midway through, the crowd really started to turn on Cena a little bit. The male audience of the older male audience in the stands was starting to get a bit frustrated with John Cena's moveset, and of course Chris Jericho was Chris Jericho. They kind of gravitated towards Jericho, and I think Chris Jericho did a great job of putting over Cena, making him look good on the way out, because this would be Jericho's last pay-per-view with the WWE until 2007, when he makes his return at the end of 2007. So a good 2 years without Chris Jericho. And I think he did well on his way out, putting Cena over. Cena was a little bit sloppy in places, but I think, he did look a little bit green, but I think Jericho held up his end of the deal, and it was a fantastic match by the end. He had that, it started to get into that territory of the typical fever-pitched thing when Cena's matches from this point forward, with the whole, let's go Cena sucks, let's go the other opponent, let's go Cena. That, the split audience, basically, where the male audience is chanting, let's go Jericho, and the kids and the females are chanting, let's go Cena. So, it was a fantastic match. Anyway, let's move on to the next matchup. We have Batista taking on JBL in a no-holds-barred match. This is, of course, the third of three Great American Bash rematches, as JBL gets another shot. This was supposed to be Muhammad Hassan, but we know what happened there with the Muhammad Hassan incident. What WWE did with Muhammad Hassan. So JBL gets another shot at the title after beating Batista via DQ at the Great American Bash. This is a no-holds-barred match, and they got their stuff in, and they didn't outstay their welcome. It was a pretty cool matchup. Batista looked strong, and he beat JBL really convincingly with the Batista bomb, and then the Batista bomb on the steel steps. So pretty cool match. Batista gets the win. Next matchup, we have the main event. We have this one right here. We have Hulk Hogan, brother, taking on the Hot Spray Kid, Shawn Michaels. Where to start on this one? You've seen the memes. You've probably seen the memes of Shawn Michaels flip-flopping around and for Hogan's offense and overselling like crazy. Apart from that, usual Shawn Michaels taking a play out to his 90s persona. It was a vintage Hogan match. Two big egos. This is what you get. This is kind of what you get. But I just feel like Shawn Michaels was being a bit childish because of the politics that Hogan did play backstage, behind the scenes. And but it was a Hulk Hogan match. I mean, it was the typical beat on Hogan forever. Hogan hulks up. You hit him with everything. Even your finishing move, he kicks out. Hooks up and no sells, he hooks up and does his big bootleg drop 1, 2, 3, and Hogan does a 5-minute celebration pose and stuff like that. It was exactly that. It was the vintage Hogan match, and I've got to praise Hogan, even though in 2025 it's probably hard to praise Hulk Hogan because of his whatever politics and bullshit and the racism and stuff. It was exactly, I got to praise him because he got the most. As I think I said this in the WrestleMania 18 review with The Rock, he got the most out of so little. He did so little and got the most reaction from it because he's Hulk Hogan. So, it was a pretty average Hulk Hogan, vintage Hulk Hogan match, and with Shawn Michaels flip-flopping around in bits and bobs, but like he's back in 1990 with that attitude. Anyway, it was a typical Hulk Hogan match. Nothing really much to say about it. Hogan gets the win. Big bootleg drop, Shawn flip-flops even more, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. I thought the match was hilarious. I really enjoyed the pay-per-view. 8 out of 10, I'm going to give the pay-per-view an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really solid show. This, of course, is the big-time match that everyone's going to be talking about, whether you liked the match or whether you thought it was silly because of Shawn Michaels flip-flopping or Hogan's politics, whatever you want to say, but it was a spectacle. It was an experience, let's just put it that way. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments, guys. Leave me a like if you deserve it, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Thank you, Beatdown Bunny, for suggesting this. Appreciate it, brother. And I'll see you guys on the next video.